welcome everyone here to our special call meeting. In accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 3480-E, South Carolina Code 1987 is amended. All the meeting will be here and notified the date, time, location, and agenda of the meeting. This time we have our prayer by Mr. Govan.
Let's bow our heads. Father, we ask that, first of all, we want to thank you for allowing us to have life, health, and strength. We ask that you will provide us with the knowledge and wisdom to conduct a meeting that is pleasing in your sight. We ask that you will allow us to have the foresight to do that which is fair and just to the children and citizens of Darlington County as we deal with the budget and other issues surrounding this district. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Now stand for the pledge. Look for somebody to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll now ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion second. Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to policy items, we have two policies to approve. We can take them both together or we can do them individually. How are you?
Chairman, I was moved to be approved both.
I just approved.
Oh, you did?
Okay, so make a motion to approve JFAB and JFABC. Okay. And a second on that. Discussion on these two policies. We had extensive discussion last time, so, okay. All in favor of the motion to approve? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Action items, general operations budget. Give us a synopsis on it first, huh?
Yep. Between me and Ms. Douglas, we'll be glad to kind of see where the dust is settling at this point. So, Chairman Jeffers, members of the board, and our video out there folks that are with us. We bring to you second reading. Of course, a lot has changed since first reading. And I will let Ms. Douglas kind of go through some of the highlights, but the biggest thing that changed is the funding formula that the state is actually using now. That first reading we had kind of a hybrid of some of what we used to have for the formula plus the new formula, and that all changed with the joint committee coming together. And so all of the funding dollars are now through the new funding formula the state is using. This is new for all school districts. It's our first year with it. And so the good news is we did get a little bit of extra money with the new formula, and that has been put into the budget of use primarily for teacher raises, to add to what we had already established for teacher raises. But I'll let Ms. Douglas tackle the highlights of what's in our current budget that we're asking to be approved.
Well, we are proposing a final budget of $109,660,000. One of the reasons it significantly increased is because they've rolled up two of the bigger funds that we normally get as separate funds, as aid to district and our at-risk funds. And so we did not include them in the original because they said we were going to have a stake in the ground and we would get all the funding that we got before plus this small amount with the new, using the new model. So when the two committees got together, they came up with a blended format. So they used completely the whole funding formula completely, and they rolled up Fund 397 and 338. So instead of having a separate fund where we pay for those things that we normally fund with those, we had to roll them into the general fund. Taxes didn't change from the original budget. They've also rolled in the EIA funds. Normally, we would get funds for teacher salaries and for fringes in a separate pot of money, and then we transfer them into the general fund. So now those are all rolled up together in this one fund. So they basically took, there's another fund they rolled up 5 into the general fund, and we don't have the 5th one. So there's 4 big funds that are all now lumped together. So we add that to our revenue. So our revenue increased $3.8 million from the last reading, but our expenditures also increased because $2.6 million of that are monies that we would have normally spent out of those other 2 funds. So those people had to be put, most of it's personnel, and those had to be absorbed into the general fund. Also, if you look on the last page, normally this is the format that I inherited. So you start with last year's budget, and then you add any of the changes to get to this year's budget. And the significant increases, there was an 18.1% health insurance employer cost increase that goes into effect in January. So we had to pick up half a year of that. We already discussed that we had utility increases that are already in the budget, plus we don't know what's going to happen with the way things are going right now. Then we've got personnel costs absorbed into the general fund, and that's what I was just talking about, aid to district, at risk, and there are a few other funds that aren't fully funded, so we had to absorb those. And we've got the employer retirement cost, 1% increase, that goes into effect July 1, tomorrow. So that is also an added cost that's in here. And we've got contingencies built in, but then we've also got, we did scenarios. We worked on the teacher raises, the minimum state salary scale increased by $4,000, but we were already at the minimum. We already paid above the minimum, so we were already paying $40,000 for a first-year teacher, and that's what the state minimum is now. So we looked at $4,000, doing that in addition, but that just wasn't feasible. There just wasn't enough. That was really, really, really tight. And not knowing what's going to happen, I didn't feel comfortable with 4. We went back to 3, and we feel like we can do everything we need to do, absorbing all these other funds into the general fund and still give the $3,000 per cell increase for teachers. And that's any of the certified staff that's on the teacher scales. And we also...
Let me ask you a question about, so any of that $3,000, is any of that funded by the state? The $3,000 that we're increasing the teacher salary?
Some with the new formula, but not all of it, no. I mean, it's hard to tell. They've got it all blended together. Basically, they give us the state minimum.
Right.
So they give us the minimum, so we're getting more than we got, but we were already funding some of that. So it's hard to do dollar for dollar analysis of that. But no, we didn't get 100% of it. But
I just want to make that point. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just passing this along.
No,
Right, we're absorbing
no.
the
If you were
increase.
already above,
You
if you
got
were
no money.
already paid
You got no
above the
money.
minimum scale, you're not required to give anything.
And we didn't get money
And we
to give
didn't get the money to give anything.
Right.
We got some additional funding because there was extra money, but not for that purpose.
That's right.
We will get only the minimum scale that they approved for our teachers. But we wanted to give them as much as we could, and that's what we
So I guess I'm just making that point. So, I mean, we weren't able to go full 4,000, but we were already above the state minimum. And we've pushed our budget to the absolute limit to get to the roughly 3,000.
That's
Right?
correct.
Yes.
So right now, all teachers get a $3,000 raise plus a step increase, right?
Yes, everybody gets a step, yeah, that's right.
And that 3,000 is to every cell that's on the salary scale.
Yes,
So
and the
just-
steps aren't, the steps are set up by the state, they're not set amounts, they're all different. I mean, it's been like that forever, so, it's not a certain percentage, but it's based on the state minimum salary scale. And then for, our other scales, we included the 4%, which we had proposed in the original budget. I didn't change that we were able to do that as well with a step. So that varies, you know. But yeah, we worked on multiple scenarios. We started out with the House version, the Senate version, and the blended version, and we ended up with the 3,000 version, the 4,000 version, and we tried in between. And anyway, we have crunched numbers for 6 days, and I feel comfortable as I'm gonna feel. I feel comfortable with this. You know, we might get to December and, you know, inflation might not be what we think it's gonna be, and you know, we'll look at how things are then, but we don't wanna, I didn't want to put anything in here that we couldn't sustain. I mean, that was,
Right. Excellent. Okay.
And
Questions, anyone?
And I think it's important to identify that $3,000 is for, at the school level, for teachers, and what the State Department identifies for that too. So it's,
yeah, there's several groups that are on the teacher scales or mirror images of the teacher scale, so it's a certified staff, but the other scales will see the 4%.
that's right.
And it's a 4% increase to the base, so it's not a, you know, it's, we're already updating those scales, and as soon as things are passed, providing it's passed, so.
Okay. Questions, anyone? Like I said, we would have liked to have done the 4. Right now, we just can't do it, but who knows, we can revisit it later on.
Yeah,
Just curious, second page, item 4, and item 9. What is the difference of those? Is that
talking about the last one.
page 2 on your budget, you're referring to utilities increase with the projection for the current year, and then your 9, which is referring to current contingencies for increased costs.
Yeah,
The 1 is what you're assuming with,
one is what's
Act-
built into the
is
budget.
what- because it's
Which is,
10%.
because current year was already higher than what we had
We-
budgeted last year,
kind of
and we
catch.
added 10%.
So we know, we assume it's going to go again. We can't not assume that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one, the warehouse supplies, I mean, we're seeing that daily. We didn't increase anything. We use that normal, our supplements and allocations manual, where we give X number of dollars per pupil, per school for those, any of the supply costs. And we didn't increase that because we didn't know what to increase it to. So those built-in reserves are to, because I know they're going to go over, and I gotta have somewhere to pull that from. Warehouse costs are already, you know, every 3 weeks, it's like every time we order something, the price has gone up. And, you know, a lot of that's on state contract, but a lot of them have, you know, the ability to increase. It's not, you know, they're not all set prices.
So we see and we hear some things coming down pretty drastically over the next 3 weeks, actually. So let's hypothetically, I'm not real confident that's going to happen, but let's say it does, and come September, October, November, we're good. I mean, there's nothing, I mean, we're just, that's to our good. We've allocated, we've done the best we could. We assume it's going up, and all indication says, but we also see that other indicators are saying coming down. That's, okay. You're just preparing for the worst, as we should.
Yeah.
I would not want to
We don't
assume.
wanna, we don't wanna, you know.
I mean, history has shown thus far that it's continuing to climb for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future, but there is, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see
And
where we-
I think to your point, Mr. Morphus, is that this is kind of a review and evaluate year for this new formula, plus with the way prices are right now. To your point, if November, December, we've seen things come down a good bit, you know, there's nothing that says we can't revisit what we're doing. But I think everybody across the state is kind of in this wait and see mode about prices and what's happening with pricing right now. But then also the way this whole formula shakes out with everything that's rolling up into just one fund now. But the good news is that we can, you know, we're going to be monitoring and reviewing as we go along. It's always better to revisit in a good way than it is to say, whoops, you know.
No, I mean, I can only imagine and envision what happens if we don't estimate and overestimate, and then we come up and we're that much short. So the rolling up, are you a fan of that or not a fan of that? it's breaking out to individual specific funds and rolls into the general fund. Does that not give you a little flexibility?
Well, you've got, some of those funds were being used to offset some things that, like Title I and IDEA have certain things that they can fund. And some of those at-risk funds, like we fully funded our DCIS out of at-risk funds. So now that's all rolled into, it's a, I don't know, I'll tell you in 6 months how I feel about it.
So-
Right now.
But I think it does give us a little bit of flexibility.
It does
That's
give
what I
us
was
some
thinking.
flexibility.
It does.
It does give us some flexibility, but we still gotta make sure we're,
Funding
you know,
those other
we're
areas.
still gotta look for maintenance of effort for, and make sure that we have enough of the special ed in the right place to cover, I mean,
Right, I was just thinking that was
Yeah.
maybe their way of giving a little flexibility.
It
by
is.
rolling those up.
yeah, I think so.
it-
And the EIA, I mean, the EIA funds, we were already, that we received them and we put them in the general fund. So that's not really, I mean, it's just all going into one pot now, we just don't see it separately, so that's really no change.
So the restrictions aren't quite as much
That's-
on those different, accounts and funds. But what we have to be careful of, for example, with special education, we're constrained by whatever we spent this year, we have to maintain in order to do the federal funds that we receive. And we won't receive our allocation for the special education federal funds until probably November, I think, or Title I's
But
November.
we're
Special
supposed
ed's
to have a
still waiting
budget
on.
online by September.
Yeah,
I'm-
so there's some constraints with those federal, that they say, you gotta make sure in your general fund to spend this in order to get this. But overall, yes, it's all just in one pot instead of every one of those in the different weightings they have.
But, and a little out of touch here, but just trying to look forward. So if you are required to spend in order to receive the next year, but in reality, since they roll it into that, you show where you spend an amount equal to, but can you not? Okay.
So that is one of those critical points for this year with this new formula. To me, I think that flexibility would be there. I guess we're gonna find out pretty quickly when we have to send in some of that other information for comparability.
Well, and
Make
those
it
two
step.
funds, you had, if you didn't use all of the funding one year, you had the mechanism to roll it forward for the next year, so you knew you had that sitting there. With the general fund, it's all gonna roll into the fund balance, so it's just, I feel like it will be a little more flexible, but, the first year, they're still trying to figure it out, so, I calculated and recalculated when they came up with our numbers, because and we finally were able to come back to their numbers and feel comfortable with it, because I could just picture, coming back 6 months saying, oh, oops, we, made a mistake. We shouldn't have given you that much, but, I felt comfortable with them.
And this is nothing, just trying to understand your sheets here. On your first page, state aid classrooms, nothing budgeted, 21, 22.
That's a
47.
roll-up.
So
That's the roll-up.
Okay.
That's the new money.
Okay.
They rolled all those things that have zeros in them up into state aid to classroom general fund and state aid to classroom EIA.
I got you, so I
And they're
take all
still
that up,
funding
it's
the
pretty much.
retiree insurance, yeah. So all those items that were separate that we actually calculated based on the weighted pupil units and our ADM are now rolled up into.
And that, the difference between those, all those zeros and that would be the increase that they gave us.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think, again, it's important to point out that starting teacher salary in Darlington County will be $43,000
Yeah.
for this.
And that puts us ahead of what some neighbors, but in the state, it's not quite, but
It's pretty, there's some other areas that have significantly higher cost of living that you've probably read a little bit about, that are going to be a little bit higher than us. But I think when you look at a district like Darlington County and our cost of living, I think that 43 is pretty strong.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Entertain a motion to approve the general operations budget, second reading.
So So moved.
Second. Second, okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the budget? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Renee, thank you so much for y'all's hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope you're on vacation next week.
That's what I told her.
And I got to put all the scales into the system now. My vacation will be in September.
Okay, moving on, the superintendent's update.
Just, my biggest update is that we just passed the budget, and I think we can all exhale. But again, I appreciate the board's, willingness to help do everything we can to help our employees. And so I know they're appreciative of that. Second thing, we're finishing up summer school, so we had that a little bit earlier this year, so the month of June has primarily been our summer school season, so to speak, and so they're wrapping up. We had approximately between 700 and 800 students participate this year, so that has gone well. We're also deep in planning mode. Of course, we had our board retreat. We have senior leadership coming up in the next week, and then we have our principal in service the week after that, and then we get a week to put everything back together to welcome our teachers back July 25th. So it is going to accelerate quickly as we move into July, but again, it's an exciting time because we're getting a chance to prepare for the new year and prepare for our students. So that's all I have for the superintendent's update. Okay.
Other items, anyone? Okay, we'll move on to executive session. Anyone? Everybody say, yes!
Record.
All right, if, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor of the motion to adjourn? Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Yeah, don't be shooting firecrackers.